Hi, I'm Doug, and these are Wycliffe's Words. It's that time of year. Severe storms are in the news. I am not a storm chaser. Storm chasers are people who go out and hunt down severe storms for purposes of scientific study, curiosity, or thrill-seeking. I am a storm spotter. When the Weather Service issues a severe weather watch, I check into an amateur radio network and I report what I see. I may move around a bit to find a clear vantage point from which I can better observe conditions, but my goal is to stay put and be the on-the-ground eyes and ears of the National Weather Service. My most exciting experience as a spotter occurred one Memorial Day weekend when I stood in a local park and watched a fully developed rotating wall cloud pass directly over my head. Now, a wall cloud is the area of a supercell where a tornado is most likely to develop. By standing beneath it, I was literally putting my life at risk. A sensible person would have fled. I, however, stood my ground and told myself that if I saw a funnel cloud forming, I would drop down next to the nearest tree, wrap my arms and legs around it, and hold on for dear life, like I've never held on to anything before. Please, don't write to tell me how stupid that was. I know full well. It's human nature to cling to a life preserver when you fear drowning, to grasp a handhold when you fear falling, or to hang on to a tree when you fear being blown away. To our great good fortune, Jesus was not driven by human nature. His nature was divine. Paul wrote to the Philippians about the character of Jesus, who, being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but made himself nothing and became obedient to death, even death on a cross. Wycliffe said it this way, that Jesus deemed not ravine that himself were even to God. In other words, he did not consider being equal with God something to be ravine about that last word. The letters U and V are used interchangeably in Middle English, as are I and Y, so we could massage this word into the more modern spelling, ravine. Now, this ravine isn't a gully or a canyon, but a variation of the more archaic word rapine. It comes from a Latin root that means to snatch, to grab, or to carry off. We get the word rape from it. It's a word full of violent intensity. Wycliffe's use of it reminds us that although the pre-incarnate Jesus was fully aware of the pain, suffering, and sorrow that lay ahead, he willingly gave up the glorious benefits of the Godhead that were rightly his, even though he had every reason to cling to them with every bit as much fervor as I would cling to a tree in a tornado. I would have hung on so fiercely that only the strongest of winds could tear me away from the trunk of that tree. And although Jesus was fully omnipotent, there was one force that was powerful enough to pry his fingers from the gates of heaven. That force was his love for us. Thank heaven he loosened his grip and allowed himself to be blown into our world to take upon himself the punishment for our sins. And those are Wycliffe's words. See you again next week. Oh, and by the way, that wall cloud that went over my head, it dropped a tornado about 15 miles up the road from me. Yikes.